Welcome to Zcon3. It's been 3 years since we've been able to do this in person. So it's really great to be able to get back together, see so many familiar faces and new faces here in the room. Last time we got together was in Croatia back in 2019. It was a very different world back then, and this foundation itself was very, very different. It's been a lot of change over the past few years. A few housekeeping notes. So while you're here at the conference, you must wear a mask covering both your nose and your mouth, except when you're eating and drinking. There are no masks required during the cocktail receptions or when you're eating during the welcome dinner. For those of you who are uncomfortable being around a bunch of unmasked people who are eating, there will be to-go boxes available for you to take your food and eat it somewhere else. At the welcome dinner, when you're getting your food from the buffet, you'll be required to wear a mask while you're doing that. But obviously, when you're sat down to eat, you don't need to wear your mask. Again, if you're uncomfortable with being around a whole bunch of people, then we have a viewing room. There's also a TV out in the foyer, and we are being live streamed on the Zcash Foundation YouTube channel. So if you really want to get some privacy, you can go to your room and watch us there. You will notice that some people will be wearing badges, a little red badge indicating that they want to be socially distanced. Please respect that, and in general, please respect others' wishes as regards COVID precautions. If people ask you to step back, don't take it personally. We have some people here who have underlying health conditions, so just exercise a little bit of common sense and respect for others. In line with our COVID precautions, we felt that passing a handheld microphone around the audience for people to speak into wouldn't necessarily be particularly good from a COVID perspective, so we're asking that people submit their questions to the speakers via Discord. If you don't know what I'm talking about, then find one of the schedules, and there will be a link there to take you to the Discord server. We will use the in-person channel for any announcements, the important announcements during the conference, but there are separate channels on the Discord server for each session. So just look at the name of the session that you're in, or that you want to ask a question to the speaker, go to that channel, and we will have people who are monitoring the channel, picking up the questions, and then channeling them to the MC, who will then ask them of the speaker or of the panelists. Please wear your badges every day. That's so that we know who you are, and we don't suspect you of being some kind of interloper from a competing cryptocurrency organization. Also, please be aware that the cocktail parties tonight and tomorrow, and tonight's welcome dinner, are private events. You won't be able to get in if you're not wearing your badge, and you'll need to have a security escort you via the casino floor to get in. So if you forget your badge in your room, you go down, you won't be allowed in, you'll have to go back to your room to pick up your badge. So yeah, please wear your badges at all times during the conference. We have a very, very packed schedule, so please help us stay on time. When we're having breaks, please come back in as quickly as possible, and speakers are asked to stick to their allotted time. I'm not sure if we will use the Oscars trick of playing music at increasing volume, but please be aware that we have a very tightly packed schedule, and hopefully we can keep it on track, keep it on time, and we'll still have those breaks where people want to have conversations and socialize. Be aware that the Zcash Community Code of Conduct applies to this event. You should strive to be kind, respectful, and polite. Please respect the speakers and the panelists. If you want to have a conversation, please take it outside to the foyer. No problem with standing up and walking back. If you find that the speaker isn't particularly engaging, like perhaps me, then feel free to step out into the foyer and have a conversation. Your participation here, your presence here, should ideally make the event a more enjoyable and productive experience for everybody who's involved. So please take that attitude, and please remember that we're also committed to having a harassment-free community. So do not engage in any activity that other people might find unwelcome. And if anybody does feel unsafe, or if you want to report someone who you feel is behaving badly, and please find someone who's wearing a blue lanyard, or if you pop out to the info desk, you'll find some Zcash Foundation staff out there. Now, why are we here? You know, it's been 3 years since we've had a Zcon. During all that time, since we've had an in-person Zcon. Obviously, last year we had a virtual event. But the whole idea behind Zcon is to bring the Zcash community together, to allow for those in-person discussions that yield so much value when people get together, exchange ideas, get to know one another, build relationships. And in the past, these events have been massively, massively successful, and we've heard nothing but good things. This year, you know, obviously after a break of a few years and with a new team at the foundation, we're hoping that we can live up to the very, very high bar that Josh Cincinnati and Anthony had set previously. So fingers crossed we'll be able to do that. One of the things that happened a couple of years ago that I found to be a really interesting experience was Netflix, the Netflix Altered Carbon sci-fi show. Used Zcash within the actual show, suggesting that Zcash and Bitcoin and Litecoin and a few other cryptocurrencies will still be accepted in 390 years' time. And for me, that was obviously cool to see Zcash on the small screen, but also it kind of, you know, spurred some thoughts in my mind about, right, if Zcash is going to be used on a far distant planet in a few hundred years' time, what do we need to get there? How do we, you know, what's it going to look like? What's the technology going to be like? And what are the things? What are the aspects of money that is still going to be relevant in a few hundred years' time? And it got me thinking, you know, what's Zcash going to look like then? Some of the things that I come up with were that it'll be a trusted and still decentralized platform for commerce, not just for payments, not just for store value, but for commerce. Hopefully by then we'll be private by default. It's a long path to get there, but I think we are making progress, and there's a growing acceptance and recognition of the importance of privacy. But I hope that you know, by the time that the human race goes interplanetary, we have a full acceptance of the virtues of privacy, and that Zcash will be private by default by then. It needs to be environmentally friendly, and we're already starting to take steps towards that. The Electric Coin Company are advocating in favor of moving away from proof of work to proof of stake, and there'll be a lot of discussion about that here. ECC staff members will be presenting some of their ideas and research here, and we'll be having a panel discussion about the future of Zcash tomorrow, during which I'm sure that topic will come up. But I think Zcash also needs to be a different beast to what it is today. We have a network that is fairly customized, fairly specialized towards payments and/or store of value, and I think it needs to be a lot more than that. When I talk about it being a platform for commerce, what I mean is that it can be adaptable to different use cases. It can be extensible so that different features and functionality can be very easily added to it, and it's going to need to be interoperable. We're not going to be, I think, anytime soon in a world where there's a single dominant cryptocurrency. There are going to be different cryptocurrencies, and Zcash needs to be able to interoperate with them. And there is work going on. Again, ECC are doing important work in that space. We'll hopefully be hearing from Dean Tribble from Agoric, who's been doing work on interoperability as well. But most importantly, I believe that it needs to be smart. Now, smartness or programmability, people think about it in different ways. The Ethereum model is obviously the most commonly recognized one that has been very, very, very successful and has turned Ethereum into a platform for all sorts of functionality. And I think that Zcash needs to go down the same route. There are various models of smartness that we can explore, and that's something that over time the foundation is going to begin to devote resources to. The model of smartness and programmability that we come up with for Zcash is likely to be different in nature from existing models for Ethereum and other networks. There's likely to be a different paradigm of smartness where a lot of the computation and the logic happens off-chain, and then it's merely the proof that gets presented to the chain that the business logic was executed properly, or that the conditions have been met for a transfer or a division of funds to take place. And finally, I believe that Zcash will be native. And what do I mean by native? I mean that it will run on its own blockchain platform. I don't see Zcash being a token, an ERC20 token on the Ethereum network. I don't see it migrating to another network. There will be interoperability with other systems, but I think in order to be able to be adaptable, in order to be extensible, then we need to have our own platform that the Zcash community supports, extends, and is able to improve and stay ahead of other networks that don't necessarily prioritize the same values, specifically privacy, that we prioritize within the Zcash ecosystem. So how do we get there? Over the next few hundred years, how do we turn Zcash into something that's still going to be used by the human race when they go interplanetary? Well, I see a virtuous feedback loop around Zcash, the network, and Zec, the cryptocurrency, that consists of developers who are improving the Zcash platform, who are creating software, products, tools, and services that enhance its utility and make it easier for people to use it. That then improves the utility of the Zec token and of the Zcash platform itself. By utility, I mean the ability to use it for more than just payments. And including payments, you'll be able to spend it in different places. If you hold Zec today, there's limited utility, and we need to make it 100 times more useful, both in terms of ability to spend it and the ability in terms to use it for other purposes. That will then drive adoption, and we will see more merchants, more businesses, more entrepreneurs begin to accept Zcash, begin to build upon Zcash as a platform, with, at the core of that platform, Zec as its native currency. And with more adoption by businesses, by entrepreneurs, we'll then see the users start to come. Now, people think of Zcash users as using the Zec token itself, and that's partly true, but it's only true to a certain extent. The way that Zcash is going to grow is if it becomes part of a far broader ecosystem where the Zec token is the fuel, is the means of payment, is the way of using these services. And that's where I believe that the level of usage is going to come that is going to turn Zcash into one of the dominant cryptocurrencies as we go forward. So we see this as a virtuous circle where the users attract the developers improve the utility leads to greater adoption, and that then attracts more users. But you can argue about the logic and which follows which. There's definitely a very, very strong ecosystem out there currently with Zcash, and we need to try and build upon that. We need to try and improve it. We need to try and attract more people, and we need to do that in a way that makes people feel welcome and that makes people feel like they have a stake in the success of Zcash, that their contributions are respected, and that they can gain something back from it. Nobody's simply going to come and in the current climate, nobody's simply going to come and help build Zcash purely out of altruism. We need to ensure that, that people feel like their contributions are respected, that they are welcome, and that there are ways for them to benefit from their contributions to Zcash. So one of the important things that we believe at the foundation is the theme of the conference today is that code alone doesn't cut it. We can write all the code that we want, but if we don't have the people there to take advantage of that code, to build upon it, to use it, to build services and tools and websites and products and storefronts and integrate it into payment systems, then we can have all this great code that nobody ever uses. So one of the big themes that we're going to be trying to focus on during this conference, and it's difficult to do this in an environment and in an ecosystem that is so technically focused and where code is so incredibly important, but we're going to try and explore the things that we can do as an ecosystem, as a foundation, as members of the Zcash community, that are beyond just writing code. How do we begin to attract more people to the ecosystem? How do we educate people about the qualities of Zcash? How do we help them understand the importance of privacy? How do we spread the word? How do we make it easy for them to onboard? Over the past few weeks, I'm sure many of you have experienced the difficulties with wallets as we've gone through the NU5 upgrade and then had some very, very heavy usage on the Zcash network. How do we improve that user experience so that when people come and they start using Zcash, they don't immediately have a bad experience where it takes ages for their wallet to sync? So there's this virtuous link between the code, which provides the functionality, and then all the other non-code activities around support, education, providing events like this so that people can get together and discuss these ideas. And I want to be very clear that we at the foundation are really interested in hearing the ideas that the community has. We want to hear your thoughts about this, because we're a small organization and we don't necessarily have all of the best ideas. That's one of the great things about having a diverse ecosystem, is that you get people from different backgrounds who have got different experiences, who have different outlooks on life, and who can therefore bring a far broader range of ideas and suggestions to the table. And when you have a broader population of ideas, then there's a better chance that you're going to be in a position to select the best ones. Now, what has the Zcash Foundation been doing for the past few years? Well, we have been building our technical capabilities. We've been working on Zebra, which is a modern modular architecture node implementation of the Zcash protocol. And we think that that's a very important piece of work, because it's going to provide a platform for people to build on and to enhance and to develop Zcash going forward. And I just want to give a shout out to the engineers who are doing sterling work on that front. It's a process, and it never will end. I think that we will always be enhancing Zcash. We'll always be improving it. We'll always be adding new features. And I'm sure that by the time we go interplanetary, that Zebra will have been succeeded by yet another node implementation. But it's a really important piece of work that I think other engineers in the Zcash ecosystem recognize the importance of. We also have a research project at the moment focused on Frost. Now, Frost is a threshold signature scheme that will provide multi-sig style signatures for Zcash, but it also has applications far beyond Zcash, and as a result, it's being defined as an informational draft for the IETF. But in time, later this year, we hope to be able to start seeing some proof of concept implementations of this technology for the Zcash protocol. Beyond that, one of our main functions is supporting the Zcash ecosystem. So we run the forums, we run this event, and we give the community a voice through Zcap. And we think that that's it's a really important way of gauging the will of the community, understanding where the community consensus lies, and that's something that we plan to continue doing unashamedly. We're going to keep listening to the community. We're going to ask them questions, as we did last year, about what they believed the priorities should be for Zcash development, and we're going to keep listening and incorporating that feedback. We also have a very important role to play in supporting the Zcash Community Grants Committee. This is an independent committee where the decisions are made by the committee members themselves, and they are elected by the Zcash community. And we're there to support them, to help them operate, to provide that sort of administrative support, and to administer the funds that get distributed to those grants recipients. And we're also looking at doing some targeted hiring to help the ecosystem. As I mentioned, there's been some difficulties recently with wallets and whatnot, and this is something that had reinforced a belief of mine that we could do in the Zcash ecosystem with a support function, someone who is there when new users arrive and they don't know how to get involved with Zcash, or people who are having difficulties, existing users who are having difficulties with wallets, who are struggling with sync times, or trying to figure out how to get Zcash to work for them. So in the coming weeks, we'll be releasing a role description for a community support coordinator, someone whose responsibility will not be to support the foundation's technology, but to support the broader ecosystem's technology, including Zcash, but also including wallets like Zec Wallet, Y Wallet, Nighthawk Wallet, to provide a point of contact and someone who can help users troubleshoot issues and then escalate to the actual teams who are developing the code if they're unable to help them. And the foundation itself, is going to continue to grow and evolve. Over the past year and a half since I've taken over, we've had a few people leave. We've had a lot more people join. So we've grown the team that are working on the team that's working on Zebra and now on Frost, and we plan to do that. We plan to continue doing that, but in a very, very steady and measured way. There's no point in just doubling in size, hiring a whole bunch of people, and then having to contract again. We're going to do it in a very, very considered way, but we are interested again in hearing from the community about where they perceive gaps in the foundation's ability to deliver its mission and to deliver its support to the Zcash ecosystem. And as the foundation evolves, it's gone from being a tiny startup organization. It's now, I guess you could characterize it as the equivalent of a small to medium-sized enterprise. Then we're going to change how the foundation is managed and how it's governed. So for the past year or so, we've had kind of an informal technical advisory board consisting of the technical members of our board. That's Andrew, Matt, and Ian. So we're going to make that a bit more formal. We're going to expand it to include people from outside the foundation, to bring in expertise that we don't have within the foundation, to bring in a broader set of voices to help us craft our technical strategy as it relates to Zebra, as it relates to projects like Frost and other projects that we may want to undertake in the future. As part of that evolution and as part of that expansion of the technical advisory board, Matt and Ian are going to be stepping down from the actual board of directors, but they'll be remaining on that technical advisory board. And we're going to be recruiting someone to come in to join the Zcash Foundation board to help us with more of the less technical aspects, the growing pains that a 501c3 experiences, the challenges of supporting a vibrant and engaged ecosystem like the Zcash one. So we'll be looking to bring on board someone with the relevant expertise and experience in that space. There are 2 seats on the Zcash Foundation's board of directors that are up for reappointment this year. That's Ian's and Amber's. And given that Matt and Ian are going to be stepping back from involvement in the board of directors, we've decided that we are going to ask Amber to remain on in order to have a level of continuity. So that will be one of the seats. That'll be one of the seats will remain filled by Amber. We'll then be looking to recruit someone from outside to add some skills and experience to the foundation board of directors. And then finally, we'll be opening nominations, as we have done in the past, open nominations to run a poll of the Zcash Community Advisory Panel for them to advise us who they think should be on the Zcash Foundation Board of Directors. So, we're still going to maintain, a very strong element of incorporating feedback from the community, whilst at the same time bringing in the relevant expertise that we think is required to help the foundation to continue to grow. Now, what can you do? And I'm not going to answer this question. That's for you to think about. What can you do to support the foundation and to support Zcash and the ecosystem as it grows and develops and improves? And more importantly, how can we help you? So we want to hear what you think you can do, and we want to hear how we, the Zcash Foundation, can help you do those things. So have a think about that, discuss that during Zcon. This evening, we'll be having a cocktail reception. The members of the boards of directors of both the Bootstrap organization, which is the parent organization of the Electric Coin Company, and the Zcash Foundation will be there. Please make a point of speaking with them. Give them your ideas, your feedback. Tell us whether you think we are doing a good job or not, or how we can do a better job. And also, have a long, hard think about what are the things that you guys can do to help Zcash. And bear in mind that there is funding available. The Zcash Foundation Grants Program has been in a bit of a lull for about a year, but we're starting to spin it back up again. There's also Zcash Community Grants Committee, which is primarily focused on bringing in new teams into the Zcash ecosystem. And we'll be hearing from them later on today. But yeah, think about what you can do. Think about what it is that you can do, and then how can we support you in doing that? Because a key function of the foundation, I feel, is in supporting and enabling other members of the ecosystem to do things. We have resources available. We have staff who have expertise. So yeah, if there's something that you want to do that you think is a good idea to support and build the Zcash ecosystem and Zcash itself, come forward, let us know, and let us know how we can help you to do that.